Hello, my name is Brian Kinney, and I'm a Striven ERP advisor, and welcome to our Human Resources lesson, where we will be discussing setting up human resources. Topics today will include employee settings, job titles, creating shifts, pay types, and custom fields. So with that, let's get started. So let's begin this session by exploring the employee settings, and to do that, click the Company tab followed by Settings in the drop-down list. Here you can click the Employees section and you'll see a list of drop-down features in which you can configure your settings revolving around your employees. First, let's click the Settings area underneath the Employees section. This will bring you to a lot of default settings revolving around your employees who you add into your system. The first option is your default user role. The user role chosen here will be automatically associated to any new employee you add into your system. And to choose a user role, simply click the user role field and choose a user role from the drop-down. Once you've chosen your user role, it'll appear in the user role field. The next section is where you choose an employee who you want to be notified when other employees update their information. This includes their address, phone number, name, and their basic contact information. To choose a recipient to receive these notifications, simply click the field, and you can load more to view more employees on your list, but by default you'll be able to see the first 5 employees in alphabetical order. Once you choose an employee, they will appear in the list. If you want to add more than one employee, you can do so. And if you want to remove any employee from this list, just click the trash can icon to remove them from the list of notification recipients. Any employee in this field will receive an email notification anytime an employee updates their personal information. Next, you have the employee signature template. This will update all employees' personal signatures to this template that you can configure. If you haven't configured this previously, you'll see the default located here. If you want to add more merge fields, you can click the merge field option here and choose any merge field that you would like to add. Options here include the employee full name, their job title, their email, their work phone, and their mobile phone. By adding any merge field, it'll pull over the information from the employee's info page whenever the merge field user signature is added. It is important to note also that if an individual employee updates their own signature, their signature will override the default set here. There's also HTML formatting if you want to utilize that as well. And on the right section of the employee settings, you have the default shifts. Here you can click the Manage Default Shifts button, and you'll be brought to a list of all your shifts within your company. And as you scroll down, you'll be able to see which ones are your default shifts, as they will appear with a checked box. If you want to change your default shift, simply click the appropriate shift in your listing, and they'll be added as your default shift. If you want to create a new shift from here, you can also click Create New Shift as well. Everything added here will update in real time except for the signature template. Once you've updated the signature template, it's important that you click Save and Update All Signatures. This will override any employee signature who has not updated their own. Now that we've updated our employee settings, let's next look at our job titles list. Job titles is located underneath the employees section of your company settings. And once you click Job Titles, you'll be brought to the Job Titles list. Here you see all your job titles as well as the desired staffing level you've entered and your current staffing level as well. And at the bottom of each job title, you'll see the net difference. If it's a negative number, that means you're overstaffed for that job title. If it's a positive number, it means you need to hire more employees to reach your desired staffing level. You'll also see a total at the top. What's your desired staffing level and what's your current staffing level, as well as the net difference. You also have search filters up top to search for the job title name, what division the job title is associated with, and whether it's in an active or inactive status. To add a brand new job title, simply click the Add New Job Title button at the top of the list. This will bring you to the Add Job Title page, and here you can add the name of the job title you're adding. After you've entered the job title, you can then enter your desired staffing level. This means how many employees do I want associated to this job title. If I want to have 4 employees working as customer care associates, I'll enter the number 4 so that I can track how far off or on target I am from that desired staffing level. On the right hand side, I can include time off categories as well. So here I have PTO as a time off category. If I do not want these employees to have PTO, I can simply uncheck that box, or I can leave it on to have any employee underneath this job title submit time off underneath that time off category. And on the bottom of the job title itself, you can add a job description. This may include responsibilities or expectations for the job title, and you can enter that here. There's also conditional formatting, so you can number, add hyperlinks, videos, and change your fonts as well. If you're HTML savvy, there's also an HTML section, so you can HTML format the job description if needed. Once you have your job title added, you can click Save and Close, and this will bring you back to the job titles list. And as we scroll down, we'll be able to see our new job title, and you'll see the net difference is 4 because we haven't hired any staffing for that job title as of yet. If you want to manage and edit any job title, simply click on the job title name, and you'll have all the same information that we had before, except now that the job title is saved, we have a hub. And in the hub, you'll be able to add folders, documents, posts, or links that are related to that job title. Next, let's talk about shifts. Now, we talked about shifts a little bit in terms of our global shifts and seeing where you can find those. But let's talk about adding and managing all your shifts within Striven. To do that, you can stay right in the employee section and you just click Shifts underneath. After you click Shifts in your company's settings, you'll be brought to the Global Shifts page. Here you'll see all your shifts, and you'll also see which ones are default, as noted with the default status to the right of the time slot itself. To add a new shift, simply click the Create New Shift button at the top of the Global Shifts list. This will initiate a pop-up in which you can choose your start and end times, and also the break time, the break threshold, which we'll talk about in more detail as we go. But first, let's start with the basics. What time does this shift start? So here I can say this shift starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I can enter my end time. When does this shift end? So I'll put 3 p.m. in the drop-down. Now I can add my break time during that shift. How much time do they get off for lunch or just an extended break during this shift? And I can choose how many hours or how many minutes if it's less than an hour. Options here are up to 55 minutes, and options in the hour are up to 8 hours. So let's give them 1 hour of break time. Next is the break deduction threshold. This means how many hours or minutes do they have to work in order to take their break. So here I can choose either an hour or a minute option as well. So if you will allow people to take a break within 55 minutes of their shift, you can put that here. If you want them to work at least 1 hour until they're able to take a break, you can also put that in here for the break deduction threshold. If you need any more information in terms of adding your break or your break deduction threshold, keep in mind we do have the information icons here, which will show a description of what is needed for each field, and that'll give you a little more information in terms of how to set up each shift appropriately. Down below is a default checkbox, so if you want this to be your default shift, you can check that on, and after you select your days, it'll become your default shift in your settings. Down below, you can select which days this shift takes place. So if I want this to be Monday through Friday, then I can select each appropriate day from the drop-down. And then once I have all that set up, I can simply choose Save and Close, and we'll see now we have a new shift underneath days Monday through Friday, which is 6 to 3 p.m. To edit an existing shift, simply click on the pencil and pad icon, and you'll have the same basic functionality we saw before, except now I can't choose my days because it's already an existing shift on those particular days. If we want to remove a shift, simply click the trash can icon and it'll remove the shift altogether. And if you want to set your defaults, you can click Set Defaults at the top, and then it'll have default checkboxes in which we can change the defaults for specific days if we want to as well. Now that we've gone over shifts, let's next talk about pay types in your system and how to set those up and manage all your pay types as well. And pay types, once again, you don't have to leave the employees section. It's right underneath. You can just click pay types. This will bring you to your pay types list, in which we can see the default pay types already set up, which are normal and overtime. Normal you'll see is your primary with the green tag icon, and you'll see overtime here as well. Search filters here include searching for the pay type's name, as well as whether it's in an inactive or active status. If you want to add a new payment type, simply click the blue Add New Payment Type button, and here you can fill out all the appropriate information. Now the payment type is the name of the payment type that you're adding. So let's call this Holiday Pay. And then we're going to add our billing multiplier. Billing multiplier is how much are we charging customers if we're billing the time to them. So we can add that multiplier here. If we're going to charge our customer a little bit more because our workers who use this pay type have to work on a holiday, we can charge them a 1.5% or whatever type of percentage we want to use of the base employee's billing rate. So just as an overview, if you issue a 1 here, that means it's just the employee's billing rate. It's no more or no less. If you add to this, meaning 1.5, then it's basically time and a half. You're charging for the employee's hourly rate and half of that on top. And you could add any multiplier here you want. If you want to charge for 2 times, you can do that as well, or you can charge half the time. It's really up to you what you charge, but for this purpose, I'm going to say 1.5 is our billing multiplier for holiday pay. And then our pay multiplier is what we have to pay the employee who works this pay type. So here we could put 1.5. We could also just put 1. Again, the choice is completely up to us. I'm going to say it's 1.5, and then we can save. Now if we want this to be our default, we can also select that here, and this green label will be appropriated with the holiday pay. I'm going to leave that off because holidays only come around every few times a year, and I'm going to click save, and now we have our new pay type listed here. Keep in mind this is in alphabetical order, so that is why the normal has been pushed to the right. If you want to edit any of these pay types, simply click the pencil and pad icon, and you'll be able to edit the pay type with all the same functions that we saw before. If anything is listed as your default, you will not have the ability to remove that pay type. You'll have to make something else your default first, and then you can remove the previous defaulted pay type. So now let's talk about custom fields for employees, how you can add those, and what you can accomplish with using custom fields. So once again, you don't have to leave the employees section of your company settings. Just click custom fields from the drop down, and you'll be brought to the employees custom field list. So here we can see we already have some custom fields added at the employee level. There are some that are under medical and dental benefits, which are custom lists. And we also have some which are listed as additional benefits, things as 401k enrollment and life insurance and things of that nature. If we're adding a custom field that doesn't apply to these functions, what we can do is add a new section. These right here with the little up and down arrows are called sections, and you can add custom fields to certain sections. So if I add a section, I can name this section additional info and click save, and now we have a brand new section which we can add custom fields to, and they're not going to get tangled and intertwined with these more benefit type custom fields. So with this additional info, we can add any type of information that isn't available with employees already to track the information that we need to track. So let's say one thing we want to ask all of our employees is if they have a valid driver's license. And if we want to add something like that, the employee info page, we can click the plus button to the right of the bold custom fields. And then we can choose our field type that we're adding. And field types are various, and you can choose the appropriate one to essentially facilitate what you're asking or what you want to track. So first, let's add our field name. Once we have our field name, now we're ready to track our field type. So if I click the choose option, we'll see all of our field types listed below, and we'll go through each one by one and discuss what you can accomplish with each. So the alphanumeric field is where you can track alphabetical and numeric data. The integer is going to be numeric, but it's going to insert a comma where necessary. The decimal field is numeric, but it'll insert a decimal place where needed. Currency will institute a US dollar symbol in front of a numeric value. Date and time has a calendar and a clock function, and with the clock you can choose a time, and with the calendar you can choose a calendar date. You also have them separated in both date and time fields. And then you have your yes and no, and with that you can choose either a radio box or a checkbox function to answer yes or no. Alphanumeric multi-line is just like the alphanumeric field, except here you can click the enter button to go down several lines. You have the attachment where you can allow employees to upload documents or images. You have select from custom list, which means I'm going to build a list of data for employees to select values from. And then I have select value from existing list. And existing lists are things that exist in Striven that you're not creating yourself. So these are things like the customers list, employees list, divisions list, and things of that nature. So because our question sounds like a yes or no, I'm going to choose that particular field type, and then I can choose the display type, so a checkbox or a radio button. And then I can even make this required if I want to as well. I'm going to choose to make it required and click Save and Close. So now we have a brand new custom field on the employee information, which we can track information about for each employee. So with all the configuration options we discussed today, you can configure your employee settings to work best for you, your human resources, and your company.